My name is Jordan, President of Sport on this activity, and I won't be surprised if my updates very soon on this activity. So since the return semester, we've returned to all of our fixtures, training, and competition events. This January, and actually yesterday saw our final fixtures of the season. So we've had some pretty solid performances across all of our sports clubs. A lot of them winning their divisions and being promoted. And we also had success at Scottish Conference Cup finals as well, just a couple of years ago. With two of our teams. So I think there's a really positive to see on the return to sport and the return after the pandemic, to see sports clubs thriving again, performing at a high level, and really getting students involved and doing well. And I think having these titles in the bag, we'll see as well in September when students are able to join these clubs and how successful they are and how successful they can be when they're sent to the university as well. So continue to encourage that performance over the summer. Our clubs have stopped training now for the regular year, but we'll be back in September. And looking forward to another season of activity, packed with fixtures, competitions, etc. as well. So it's really positive to see all this return back. In terms of membership, we saw an increase in second semester membership from previous years. I think students are realising the sport and physical activity was back, and they have opportunities to join our sport clubs as well. So again, really positive to see. And our membership is sitting at roughly similar levels as to pre-pandemic as well. So it's good to return to those kind of numbers. Also, another competition we had last week was Brand City Challenge, which was our annual competition at the university at RTU, and I'm pleased to announce that for the first time ever, RTU did win this event, which is great to see again. Hopefully, and encourage students for youth coming to get involved in sport physical activity and be part of such big title wins. I think we're all still riding a bit behind from winning that, so continue to kind of promote that and push that across the students as well. The next big thing for us from our youth sports clubs is Blues Ball, which is happening on Saturday. So it's again an opportunity to recognise all the individual athletes and success of our sports clubs on a larger scale. There's going to be over 500 sports club members packed into our sports hall, ready for an evening of, as I say, awards, celebration, dancing, all sorts in between. So again, hopefully seeing all that kind of activity in that class will encourage students to continue to join our sports clubs and engage with activity at the university as well. Alongside this, we do a lot of education within clubs. This semester have continued with our Beyond Quality program. Aiming to kind of rethink club culture and make sure that we are creating a good environment so all the students that want to come in and perform and participate have a safe space to do so and a welcoming space to do so as well. So this semester we're focusing on topics such as allyship, mental well-being, setting up relationships, just to make sure all club members are educated equally and understand kind of what is expected of them as an individual for the university, but also as an individual as part of sports clubs as well. We'll continue to see these programs running and we'll continue to see them through the rest of the semester into community training for next year, and we'll start to see how the impact of that is assessed and the next steps as well. Speaking of community training, clubs have been having their AGMs over the past few weeks, electing their new committees, and we're making sure that their clubs have leadership moving forward. So these amounts all of our clubs have club leaders for the next year, so we'll see the same number of clubs, if not more, events coming over the summer. Yeah, these big committee elections were very successful and gives these students being able to kind of chair AGMs and go through these kind of processes as well as we head into handover periods and the transition of sports clubs as well. I'll stop talking now, very much all for me. If you are across social media, keep an eye on your sports clubs, keep posting them on your channels as well. The activities a bit quieter over the summer. There's definitely still local opportunities to be active and participate as well as on youth sports, so just continue to spread that message. Thank you.
Vice Presidents to give updates. I'm starting with Reed, Tony, and then Joe.
Hello, I'm Reed, Leo, Vice President of Community. So this semester we've done more fundraising challenges, and this is over 1,000 raised for trade, which paid for rice and nappies, fighting sickness, but when Poland in order to go through those for $10 of contributions from all the set. We had a film night in this room, which provided we watched Turning Red, and this will happen every week for the next until the end of the semester. We'll keep an eye on the social media. In terms of another event that we held was a volunteer networking event. So this was a celebration with coffee, sandwiches, cakes, and it was great to see everyone there. Yes, other than that, lots of volunteering opportunities. We've got graceful laboratories, designing colouring pages, that will be placed in this room. Yeah, thank you.
That's great. My name is Sumi, and I'm the Vice President of the International Studies. And I'm going to start the same. Also, we start this year by having Precious Week, and giving helping or introducing new intake to the university, having introduction and introduction with them, and especially with the international students. And also, last year we had 1 hour celebrations, and happens every year for 1 week, and that's one of the things we had with international students. And also, presently, systemically, Indian society has tried to promote the Indian community. She just started, so that's one of the events we're trying to promote, and also the Ghana community. And since we have one, that's the Nigerian community, right? That's one of the most popular ones. So we try to bring out all the countries that are present in our community. Thank you.
Throughout this semester, now we've been looking at ensuring that sports clubs are according to capacity, the monitoring training, and ensuring that we can support them when we can support them. I came in February and looking at president's for and staff, she has been perfectly fine. She has been very good use of countries. Also, ensuring that we can find these sponsors for our sports clubs, how we can support them financially. So now that is happening many projects, also find out how we can support them in getting them sport improvement and other things. Also, we're working hard in ensuring that there's participation in all categories of students, from master's students down to the undergraduate students. So we've noticed that most sport members are trying undergraduates, so we're ensuring that the master's students are represented in those sports clubs. Looking at new semester runs, we see that the school closes around April, May, kind of for the second semester, and most masters are still in school. Looking at how can these people still continue their sporting activities during this period, and we hope to find a very good solution to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. And as President Education and Welfare, I've been working with Dorian and Vice President Education and Vice President Welfare to represent you, your voice, and welfare through the months on many staff and student panels, all geared towards enhancing your student experience and satisfaction at RGU. One key area of focus for us has been to work on fostering opportunities for increased student engagement across the schools through the recruitment and training of all representatives across class and school levels, ensuring that student voice is heard through the delivery of student voice events, and we continue to ensure that there is continued opportunities for students to give feedback about the things that really matter to us, and that this feedback is clearly communicated and acted on. I have worked to deliver monthly web catch-up meetings, different drop-ins with students at class and school meetings, and I'm happy to say that I've led to discuss with students within class group meetings, freshers, refreshers, as well as class inductions. I've been working in partnership with the university to enhance the student experience by representing the student voice in many university groups, such as the Future of Teaching and Learning Group, COVID Action Group, Healthy University Steering Group, and many other working groups to ensure that the university continues to support students. A huge part of my role is concerned with student mental health and well-being, and I have worked closely with Development Counseling to ensure that the university's mental health policy and practices quickly reflect and meet the needs of our very diverse staff and student community. We continue to ensure that RGU remains a safe space for everyone, regardless of race, age, religion, or sexual orientation. In addition, I have promoted and supported our student group, peer support, and Nightline in promoting their activities towards supporting student mental health, encouraging students to engage with and seek support from our university services. Just this month, we delivered a week-long University's Mental Health Day celebration, which enabled the union to reach out to students who were unable to previously open up and dialogue about mental health and mental well-being on campus. We were able to inform students of the different support services around the university, promoting our peer support and Nightline groups, and from these we gained student interest in both volunteering and using our services. In addition, we were able to advertise other services such as Inclusions, Nightline, Pressline, and the union. We also showcase our societies, groups, and networks, and the importance of finding social circles, which are very important for student mental well-being. And have delivered in-person campaigns to discuss the impact of systemic racism during Black History Month, and also worked with the LGBTQIA network to deliver the Thinking Out Loud event tagged Blurring Borders during LGBT History Month. I also work with Go Green to deliver sustainability initiatives and climate-focused events like the Net Zero Student Debate, and also the first meeting of our Climate Assembly here at RGU. In response to student requests, supported by LADA, of course, we advocated to the university to have the library open for 24 hours during the assessment periods, and because of our work with library services, we can now confirm that the library will be open for 24/7 and throughout the whole assessment period from Monday the 11th of April to Friday the 6th of May. However, we're still working with library services to ensure that we can elongate this period as has been requested by the school officer and students in the School of Architecture because of the specific needs that they have to use the study spaces within the library. And once we get a notice of that will be the first to be great. So that's a summary of my work so far. Please feel free to get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. And if you have any questions about any of the updates that we've given in the room or online, please feel free to raise your hands and ask a question, or drop in the comment section, and we'll take as many questions as possible. And at this time, I'd like to welcome Leila to give updates concerning the just concluded AGM and the motions that we've seen.
Thank you. Thank you for them. We've had meetings with the university management since the AGM happened on the 24th of February, and I'll be sharing some updates we have on the motions. So the first motion I'll be discussing is the inadequate job opportunities for international students. And we've had meetings with the university management, and I'm glad to share with you that ongoing at the university is a project called RGU Plus, which aims to enhance employability of RGU students, including exploring opportunities to incorporate volunteering, student exchange opportunities, and work-based learning for all students. So this part of the project has been overseen by a steering group and has been informed by student focus groups. So we're sure that there is student presentation in it, along with staff working groups as well. And we'll also keep on providing updates to students as discussions on this project progress. We are also thankful to the great partnership between the university and the union, and also happy to also let you all know that the university has assigned a staff as well to follow up on this motion, to also be our go-to on this motion. So this motion has been added as well to become a continuing agenda in one of the university meetings on student experience, so that all these can also come from the university. So we're really grateful to the university for that. And then about the second motion, which is to improve facilities at 3.3 degrees in grade. I also want to share with you that there are ongoing meetings on the plans for catering with the university management and the catering company Aroma for the rest of this semester and the next academic year. The union is also a part of the catering management committee, and we are continuing to raise this issue at that meeting as well. So then the third AGM motion, which is carbon footprint sign. I also want to share that this motion has been shared with the university management, and updates so far has then a group being set up at university to look into this motion. And there's going to be student representation as well in that group. And updates from this group will also be delivered in one of the university in terms of student experience as well. And we're also going to be asking for movement to be added as to be part of this group as well. So on the motion for trans and non-binary inclusivity training for staff and students, we're following this up directly with the university and also looking at opportunities for our own staff at the union. So there's also work from the university on trans policy and then the university is already acting on this motion as well. So updates for this motion will also be shared at the EDSC committee, which is Equality Diversity Subcommittee, and EDF, Equality and Diversity Forum. These are two university meetings that also have student representation in them, all thanks to the strong partnership the union has with the university as well. The university is also looking to have students involved in the discussions and consultations around this motion. We also want to keep our LGBTQIA+ network involved and updated on this discussion as well. So for the unrealistic assessment schedule, we have started discussions with the university about this motion, and what we have been told is that the university recently got assessment principles agreed upon, and work has started to make sure that there is time between exams. It also turns out that this motion affects not just social work students. So as in like, practically all our students are also involved, are also affected by the motion as well. So an effective solution is being considered for all students. Then for the timetabling flexibility for student parents motion, we have started discussion with the university about this motion, and the update we have is that the university is working on releasing a family-friendly policy that will have what student parents can expect from the university in terms of the areas of support, where their kids can come onto on campus, where they can stay on campus, and then to further support student parents as well. The university says timetables will be made available as upfront as possible so our student parents can make plans. Then with regards to parking on campus, following student feedback and in conjunction with ROGU Union, Transport recently reviewed car park usage and capacity. And following this review, a further 80 student car park permits were released. And it will be in place for the remainder of this semester too. So this is actually a very big action, and we are grateful to SD, as this will make this update will make an immediate difference to students for the rest of the semester. I think today, we'll be going out to the 80 students who are getting an extra permit here. So we're really grateful for that. Students who have met the criteria for the new permit are currently being contacted. So for the new academic year 2022-2023, possible improvements, we're looking at using technology to improve student experience with regards to car parking. So this is still being deliberated and worked on as well. And the union has been included. We are part of this discussion, and we will continue to ensure that student voice is considered throughout the entire process. So these are the updates on this motion that we voted on just last month. So I would also want the university management leader and Phil to share any feedback they want on this motion, because they have all been involved in meetings, and we are very grateful and thankful for your support.
Thank you very much for sharing, Lina. And at this point, we will listen to VP for Vice Principal.
Hello everyone, it's really nice to see you all. Actually, a lot of the updates that I was going to give you today, we've just really discussed there in terms of what we've just heard. But there's a lot of work going on about the future of teaching and learning and assessment within the university. As I'm sure that you're all aware, we've been teaching in a completely different way for the last couple of years, and sadly, some of that's had to continue through the last 2 semesters. But we are hoping and keeping our hopes up that by September of this year, we can go into our, well, I'm going to call it our post-pandemic model of teaching that we'll be using into the future. And what we've done in that space is say thank you to all of you that have given us feedback about what parts of the learning that you've had in a different format of the last 2 years that you've really enjoyed, what's been really valuable to you, what parts you haven't enjoyed, and what you'd like to see enhanced. And so there's some work going on at the moment about that, and we are hoping to get an announcement out in the next 3 to 4 weeks about what the shape of learning, teaching and assessment will look like going forward into the future. However, what I will say is that please encourage all of your colleagues, all of your classmates, everyone that you meet, to keep providing us feedback, because we can't make the teaching and learning experience here what you want it to be without having full feedback. So that would be the first thing I want to say. And the other thing that is also really important to talk about is just about the student experience. I'm going to not say much about this because I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Phil, but we really want to make the university not only a place where you learn and where you're assessed, we want it to make a place where you really can create social interactions and become part. We want you to stay around the campus, not just while you've got classes on, but in between classes and after classes, to take part in social clubs and to interact with each other. And so we're doing a piece of work called the Vibrant Campus. We want to make this a place that you want to hang around in. So again, any feedback that we can get that will allow you to want to do that would be great. And I know that David from Estates here would really like to know what we could be doing in terms of the building to make it somewhere that you want to hang around more. So also that we can do as much as we can to make the university a place that you can really feel that's giving you everything you need. And in addition to that, I think it's important just to say that all of these things don't just happen with a physical campus. It happens with both the type of people as well that we are. So making sure that we've got the very values, that we are working as a community, that you feel safe, and that's all very much important to us. I'm not going to say any more because it's really important. This is student voice. This is by hearing your voices today. But I think it would be good just to give maybe something from Phil about the Vibrant Campus work, because that is really important. And then it's over to you to give us thoughts and feedback.
Just on the Vibrant Campus, the principal, the new principal, who's not new now, he's getting on a while, but he's been a principal during the pandemic. And so he's really, really keen, and as is the executive of the university, to make sure that our campus is a place where people actually want to come to. That for our undergraduates that are taught on campus, that it's somewhere that you really, really aspire. I want to go there. I want to spend more than just turn up for my lecture, go to the library, disappear. So the whole campus was built originally to be a beautiful riverside campus in Europe, which we think we have on certain days when the sun's shining like yesterday. But what we found is that Len hasn't been here very long. How long, Len?
7 months.
6. So Len was saying it's like a ghost town, which is such a shame because it's got an opportunity to be such a vibrant, happy, active place where everyone's learning, and so a place where everyone wants to work and study. But it's been difficult trying to, and we've had a number of goes on. We think, oh, we're going to get back. It's going to get back to normal. It's going to get back to normal. And I think the university's realised that if we want to get it back to normal, it's not ever going to be like it was before. We've got to make more of an effort to see how you just don't build buildings and teach courses and then it's vibrant. So we've created a group that has had representation from the student union throughout the period that we've been discussing. What more efforts do we need to take to get more people wanting to be here and really enjoying their time whilst they're here? And it's still in the discussion stage, although the university has allocated an amount of money to pump prime some projects. A lot of it is based around the well-being aspects of the partnership agreement, around how can we, whatever decisions we make, can they impact on people's physical health, their social health, and their mental health? which have been things that have been really highlighted by the pandemic. So we're spending an amount of money looking at our core path network around the university, so that how can we attract people onto the campus to enjoy the outdoors aspect of the campus. So an amount of money is looking at that. How do we bring out the real talent that we have in Grays and our links to art? How can we get that more visible in the campus and allow our staff and students to enjoy all the art that we have, that we've got access to? And we've got some projects, and there'll be one, I don't want to give too much away, but one within the next couple of months will actually have an installation of an artwork on our campus that would attract people just to walk and interact with. But we want more of that to take place. We're looking at key things to making a vibrant campus. The most important is food, probably. Making people want to stay. And we've had a long period of discussion with our students about the healthy nature, the affordability, the taste, the cultural diversity of food that we need to have within the university, as diverse as we've got. So we know that we've got to do a lot of work on ensuring that our outlets not only do traditional food, but also have food that is affordable and healthy and appropriate for both all our staff and all our students. So there's an amount of work looking at the future of the hospitality contract for the university, and that will link into the vibrant campus work. We also realise that part of the campus being vibrant is the students themselves just doing stuff, just organising themselves into clubs, societies, groups, and we're looking at how we can make that as easy as possible. The university and the student union have come together to allocate this space that wasn't ever a student union space before, and given it and said to the student union, do what you want with it. And we can see already that it's busy. It's busy with students. I was going to say knocking about with each other, but you might not understand what I mean. Just coming together, talking socially, a bit of studying, a bit of pool, games room, this room. That's the sort of thing that we want to make as easy as possible. And we've got massive amounts of space across the campus that could be utilised by more student groups to do more activity. And it is, the university will not come up with all the ideas. It will come from the students themselves, with the leadership of the student union as well. So all our activity around this has been based around how can we make this a place that's more attractive, that thinks about people's well-being, whether it be physical, social, or mental health, and how can we make that as easy as possible. So a lot of initial work, and hopefully over the next couple of years you'll see more outcomes from the work of the vibrant campus. Is that enough?
That's what. Thank you very much. I don't feel like it's just going to burst one stone. Also, pretty much what you that's really
In terms of the student partnership agreement, this has really been the main leadership of this has come from your presidents that have been really active, working with people from the university. Hannah Leslie is now the key contact for partnership with the student union around the partnership agreement and other aspects of student representation. But we've been working away for a long period of time to try and talk about well-being and develop activities around well-being. Again, it's going to be a never-ending issue that we're facing. 4 or 5 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to have the discussion. People were frightened to talk about their mental health. They didn't even consider social health and how important it was to them. Physical health, people could notice it of themselves and might articulate it, but weren't confident enough often to bring about change in their personal lives so that they could start becoming more active. I think in all three areas now, as a society, we have moved forward tremendously, where we're now talking openly about issues that used to have stigma attached to it. And I think a lot of our discussion was how do we break down that stigma? And we're now getting to the stage where we will develop an action plan over the coming period where we will challenge the university, which says loads of good things about well-being and how much we care as a university and an institution about our staff and student well-being. But I think it's incumbent upon that group and students themselves to keep challenging the university and bring new thinking and say, look, if you're really serious about this, we want you to do this. And I sincerely hope that we're able to develop an action plan that will say we'll do these little steps that will improve people's lives. And it links to the vibrant campus so that we create a community. Lynn talked about where everyone feels safe to learn and to teach and work. But that people feel like that's a place that I really like being in, that I feel I can thrive. And for a period of my life, however long that is, I really want to be part of that. And I think our well-being and the discussions that are coming out of the partnership agreement will help us all do that together.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bill. And at this time, I'll just request for David to give the speech.
Thank you. Well, I think a lot of the points already been mentioned, discussed, also the State Department supporting that chief mission from the university. Space being an important one, carbon reduction, car parking, catering, very good subject. So a lot of work happening here as well. And I would suggest that the benefit we're getting to the department is that people can themselves providing lots of knowledgeable people doing this, guiding us along what we should be doing, and bringing new ideas to the table. So I'd like to thank you President for that. So yeah, a lot happening, and I think also it will take time to move and change things. A lot of these things, where we can change quickly, we will do so. A lot of these things involve a lot of planning, a lot of consultation with stakeholders, students and staff. But I would expect things to actually start changing forward in a lot of areas. I know car parking is probably quite a hot topic at the moment, and Leila and Dan have mentioned that already this afternoon. I'm sure we'll talk again. Recent announcements of the additional requirements is hopefully something that will help students go forward. We will actively try to improve the situation in car parking. I know it's frustrating for students and staff. It's like to see space available and parking. But the wider car parking is ongoing, we'll take into account that. It will take a bit of time. The process of reviewing car parking policy isn't something you can do in a couple of weeks. There are lots of different criteria that has to be considered. However, that said, we are looking also actively at doing short-term improvements for the start of semester 1 in September this year. Again, we are part of. What that will be, I yet can't tell you. We're still actually working through the options, but it's hopeful that some kind of IT solution will be put in place, which should potentially involve pay-as-you-go apps for parking on campus. We'll still get requirements, obviously, but we'll look to see what that will be shortly. So there's a lot happening, and I can only assure you that you're involved in all these very important things for you all. I'm sure we'll do so moving forward.
Thank you very much, Ian, Phil, and David for sharing. And now we're going into the Q&A session of this forum. And I'd like us to start by sharing thoughts on what Phil just discussed with us in terms of the partnership agreement, recognizing what has worked well and what things need to change. So I just wanted to ask the audience in the room and online if you have any thoughts or contributions regarding the partnership agreement.
I think it's refreshing to hear that the university are focusing on, thank you, focusing on encouraging students to be on campus, doing the creative school of grace, being a great student, also the School of Architecture, you know, we're screaming to get involved and be in the space. For myself, it was actually heartbreaking walking from Grace to the Sweden building and one day it's week. And it was only at 5 p.m. And I genuinely thought the school had died. It was empty. Everywhere was shut. There wasn't anywhere to get any food, any drink. It was isolating and lonely. So to hear that the university wants to focus and change that is really refreshing.
I just wanted to kind of continue on that. My company, School of Architecture, we've been kind of fighting all year advocating since our main wing to be open. I mean, I'm not sure how many people know this, but most of our in school come in for 7 a.m. We're in for the building opening. We don't leave until 9, 10 o'clock at night. We have a very good relationship with the States in Surreywood because we see them every day come and kick us out of our spaces. We're working too late. It's one of the reasons we're such strong advocates for our fighting for our studio spaces because we use it already. But come 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you can't even get a cup of coffee if it comes to Costa. And for a student, that's not a reasonably affordable thing. It's very expensive. You know, I went today and I was £7 for a coffee and a sandwich. That doesn't make me want to stay on campus when I can go down to McDonald's and get one for £3. I would much rather go down there. And I think, again, obviously my background, my area of study comes a lot into this, but the walkability on campus is atrocious. If you want to walk from Surreywood, you cannot walk from Surreywood to Grays without crossing a road. You know, and I know the school wants to have this, you know, the best riverside campus in Scotland and Europe. But why can't we walk along that riverside? Why is there no development down there? Why is there no safe path? All the cars have been prioritised, and I think, again, that's probably biased in my area of study, but I think it's a really key opportunity, and if the university are really focused on it, they should be teaming up with Scots, inviting the students that are studying this, or doing this every day, and ask them what they think, because this is the first I'm hearing of it. As the school officer for that school, we have actually done this project before. We've actually done this project in-house as an assessment on how to make the campus better, but that's obviously, and I've got a list of notes here of stuff that I was just thinking of explaining it the university needs to do to kind of make the campus better, to make student engagement better.
Can I come back on the point that you made there, that when I said about the Riverside campus earlier, your head of school actually said years ago, and I use it and pretend it's my quote, but he said, we want to be the best Riverside campus in the world. In fact, we're the best car park side campus in the world. So he's very switched into this. We've got an amount of money that we want to spend on consultants to build on the work that we've previously done, which was probably 4 or 5 years ago. 2004, my life is just drifting away from it. We've done, yeah, so that didn't drift away, it just went. We've got an amount of work that we've already done, and I think David would welcome the involvement of Scots students and staff involved in getting involved in this project. But our ambition is desperately, we've got, so in 2014, we had a Commonwealth Games project where we created walkways across bronze, silver and gold routes through the campus, and we wanted to be able to build upon that. We weren't able to for financial reasons at that stage. But for me, as a member of this community, I want something done about it as well. And the university has committed a small amount of money to really investigate this properly. And David will then.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to share the 2014 document with you also, feedback on that. The new kind of direction came from themselves, effectively this point raised there about getting some path along the south of the building, and also looking at how we can access the south of the building, including things like access to art spaces. Obviously, we do live in quite a site of quite significant deviation in levels, so accessibility was an important aspect as well. But yeah, I'm more than happy to share that with you. But after this meeting, I'm more than happy to do that.
And I'll say one more thing and then I'll pass off to somebody else. But I think it's very important for all of the stuff that's already been mentioned. We need to consider short term more so than long term. when you look at a university for students, most are only here for 3 years, 4 years. They're not going to be here. So it's fantastic to hear that the university did work back in 2014. But I would be surprised if anyone in this room as a student was here in 2014 as a student, unless they're doing a postgraduate degree, which most chances are they would have left and they've now returned. So I think, I applaud you, I think you're moving in the right direction, but realistically, the students that are here now aren't the ones that are going to benefit from these plans. It's the students that are going to come in 4 years' time who will be like, this is an amazing place to be, but it doesn't help people right now. And it's that kind of balance. I think the new union space, for example, is fantastic, but it's very much been zoned into a corner that wasn't used previously. The Dirty Southern School kind of was fading, and it's been brilliant to have new life here. But if you walk through the business school, you're unaware of its existence and you don't see the student engagement in the spaces that you might be walking in. So you only see that engagement in areas if you go into those areas.
So, and there's 2 points I want to raise here. One thing about the catering hours is we completely agree with you. They're not open long enough, absolutely 100%. And I think there is nothing worse than coming to one of these events and people give you excuses. So I'm saying this knowing that it sounds like an excuse, but due to the absolutely significantly short footfall in the institution, the cost to university, even of the opening hours just now, is really quite significant. But just to reassure you that from September, the opening hours will be back to being extended again, because we absolutely know it's absolutely crucial for that. So, but I'm not making excuses. It's not correct. You should have something open all the time. Completely get it. But we are hoping, and I think to open it an extended hours. Is this just now? That's current. So things will be open till 9 o'clock and things, and we will keep reviewing that. So that's number one, because I completely agree with you. I think just on your other point, just to say that we are at the moment looking for, we've been around visiting other institutions to look at places that we can create pods or places that are in every building that students can kick about together. What did we knock about together and different areas within every building, because you're completely correct, this is a great building, a great space, but if you've only got 15 minutes, you're not going to have time to run here to do that. So that will all be work, and I'm hoping that that work will not be 5 years in advance, that will be short, medium and longer term. So, but your points are all really well made, and thank you for raising them, because we can only learn through listening to what you've got to say.
Yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I am Principal Brown, and I think the topic here is about getting students engaged with their school activity. Yeah, but one thing for sure is that I will talk about the long-term plan. Why? Because there are a lot of students who can't get accommodations that are cheaper. Like, I don't know if there's an accommodation that's more expensive. Some friends have mentioned that. So I'm talking out of experience. Like back in Ghana, where I school, like the school provided some sort of accommodation, which was cheaper for fewer students or international students to live in or accommodate in, and it gave room to students to be able to get closer to school and participate in activities. So that should be a long-term plan. Then also, I don't know if you mentioned this like sport activity, because sport activity is the real activity that gets students engaged with school activity, and it makes it creates a lot of relationship. So I would say that the school should really put more effort in terms of the short-term plan. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So, and what else? Like, a lot of international students are not involved, which I have scrutinized personally, and I have asked, and I have seen it. Like, a lot of them are doing care of business. A lot of them don't really participate in sport activities. So, I think that's something the school should also be able to get.
I think on the sports side, I think we work with the sports president to do that. I used to be director of sport before I was director of student life, and I've still got responsibility for sport. So we've had a massive increase over the sort of 15 years of participation in sports clubs, but we haven't had the amount with international students, and that disappoints us. And I think we need to do some more work on finding out what the barriers are to that participation in the sports club activity. In terms of the fitness and physical activity and membership of RGU Sport, the university took the decision, instead of charging students, that we're giving that free, and that is sector leading in terms of the university making the decision that they think it's important to give free delivery of a really good gym for all our students to participate without having to take charges, to take any money off them. In terms of accommodation,
Yeah, most of the accommodation prices across the whole, so the entire prices or certain parts of our accommodation are towards the very effective to the edge of that. The universal accommodation, we don't make profit on that. It's not something we generate profit from. It's a service for the students, and because of the way we've been going the last couple of years, it's actually come at a considerable cost to the university, actually providing accommodation for the prices that we're offering. We do offer additional things that have been recently over the last period of COVID for isolation, which is rather unusual for a university. We've offered that built-in accommodation. We've got short-term lets, we've got emergency accommodation. And in the past, we've also been taking families who have come unannounced from abroad. So it's difficult for us, and probably affordability probably the main issue here in terms of reducing the price of the product, because we're already actually on the accommodation cost of the university. But anything we can do, I'm happy to have a conversation, give my details after the meeting if you wish. Happy to meet in my office or wherever you wish, discuss it further, get public from me. Happy to do that for you.
I think as well, just to say that one of the things that we really are disadvantaged from in a lot of ways is that we have no accommodation on campus, because obviously if your accommodation is close to campus, you're going to engage with the facilities, and that is something, I mean, it's a long-term plan, but it is something that we do need to consider. Is that something that as a university we would like to do? But of course, then you can't guarantee that students would want to live out here. Do they want to live in the city? So there will be quite a lot of work to be done in that space. But I acknowledge what you're saying. It's not cheap to live in Scotland.
Yeah.
And sadly, that is a real challenge. But we are listening to what you say. But thank you.
All right. My name is Vinga, and I'm the student rep for IBM students September 10th. My friend, I call him my friend because I know him, has actually spoken what I wanted to talk about, but I think I need to share a little more light on it. And I would like to first and foremost appreciate the president, Dami, and Ella for the good work they're doing. Honestly, you guys, really, taking this thing to the next level. And the management, I must appreciate you for support given to them. I just want to say this because if you look at what is happening right now in RGU, it's not just limited to the RGU alone. Other schools are having that same kind of challenge in getting students back on campus, and this is not something strange. It boils down from what recently happened all over the world, that public health issue. People are not really ready to come out again. People kind of get used to it. Like they want to stay back at home, get everything done at home, study at home, go to work online, get everything sorted. But everything cannot be achieved indoor. So it is high time that we look into what we need to do to get students back on campus, and it's so awesome that you have a plan for that. And to be sincere, to have a plan, if you want to do something that is going to stand the test of time, you got to have a long-term plan, which you have, which I think we should appreciate. But aside that, there are things that we can do alongside as we have a long-term plan to get things coming to shape. And which he mentioned, which I'm going to talk on, that student sport activity. You know, my experience in back undergraduate and secondary degree, sport is a kind of platform that brings students together and that unifies students. Looking at RGU is a place of different cultural diversity, cultural background. But I'm beginning to see like it's not inclusive. I'm not going to direct the question to the management team. I'm going to talk to the sports president or director. I don't know, he came up to give up feedback. This is what I'm going to ask you. What is the plan you have? I know probably you have one right now, but what are the structure you have on ground to make all the sports units, departments inclusive, ensure all students are participating. We have a lot of talent. Myself, when I was an undergraduate, I was an handball. I played for the national team, but because I'm more passionate about academics, I didn't go to that line. So I've seen people using this as a stepping stone, to play for clubs, the big clubs out there. So we can also utilize this, and people can always trace their success back to the sport, section in RGU, and which is going to give RGU a good reputation out there. So, like, the reason why I want to talk about this because there is a recent happening that happened to a close person of mine, my brother as well. He's in one of the team, and the way he was treated, he told me he's not going to play again, but I've been encouraging him that please, we want to watch you play out there. I think you need to look into that because passing through the student union, former building, I've seen, I just feel maybe it's meant for a set of people, so that you need to be looking into so that you can bring everybody together and everybody will be eager to come around, watch who is playing, and that kind of stuff. Then the second point I want to talk about, I'm sorry.
Can I just ask if Jordan could respond to the question you asked about making the sports club more inclusive? Is that all right?
All right. And social activity. There was a recent program we had in APS. That was when, excuse me, this t-shirt was distributed. Students came from town, everybody came together, lecture, and we have fun. So if that kind of program could be happening, regularly, people will come to school, they will participate. Everybody, this place will be, will come to life again. Thank you.
Yes, I totally hear what you're saying. I think, as Phil mentioned, there's a gap within our sports clubs that we have recognised. And we do need to address that. And I think over the next few months where there is more presence of postgraduate students, of international students on campus, I think that's an opportunity we can use to really build our sports clubs back up and include as many people as possible. And I think it's really valuable you coming here and speaking about this today because as we return to sport, we'll be recognising gaps that are maybe missing or gaps that can be filled. And by you coming forward and raising that, we recognise that as a gap, if that makes sense. So it's really valuable for us moving forward. I guess in terms of the structures within our clubs, we have a number of educational pieces that we do in terms of inclusivity training and making sure that everyone does have that space to feel welcome within our clubs. And again, that's something we'll look to continue to put into place over the next few months as we train our committee members and train our sports club leaders as to what it means to be part of a sports club, how to approach new members, how to engage with all students on our team, how to engage with different schools, how to kind of encourage the performance and encourage students to join their sports clubs as well.
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Andy Toby. I studied public health and promotion. My master's degree. I play basketball professionally, like full time. I play basketball, like that's my passion. And before applying to RGU, I made sure that my statement of purpose, like it was part of my goals. Like I want to improve my game. I want to because I saw opportunities and I was interested. So I'm the one who was referring to. I was the one that had the incident because I told him about it and I didn't like what I thought. Before coming, I made friends online, like the support class and support team captain, and they told me like the team is fine. Also, when I was high, I got some coming there, I really put the effort in my game and stuff, and also balance my degree. So I got here, I played
Well, my experience was not good because I played 4 years in Turkey. And I
Excuse me, I'm really sorry. We obviously are, some of us are aware of this situation, but because of it's been dealt with in another place, would it be possible for us to take this out of the room? It's just because at the moment we're obviously dealing with things for you. Is that all right if
yeah,
we do that?
because I thought it was like after you speak on the last one, just speak.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's just due to some of the issues that we're dealing with just now. I think it would be better. I'm more than happy to discuss it once the meeting's finished today, but it would be really good if we could just take it away from this forum because there's a lot of people online and things. And a lot of, is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And just to, sorry to repeat, the question is really about the partnership agreements. So just a reminder, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Jiso. I don't know what I'm talking about when it's in my lab, but it's about sports as well, anyway. It has to do with the assessment and the schedules. And I think if the assessments and the controls and all that are all closely packed, it leaves very little room for international students, particularly to participate in sports. I can imagine someone coming from a different background coming here trying to get accustomed to the learning and teaching practices and then wanting to get involved in sports at the same time. It would be quite difficult. And I don't know if there are any outdoor sports facilities. It would also be nice if I'm walking across and I see people playing basketball around the corner or maybe it's football or in private sites. I would be drawn to stop by and watch and probably participate as well. But I don't know if everything just involves only the pandemic. Sometimes you never know you have to something like that. So that's my point.
So I'll let Phil address the question about outdoor sports. But I think the point that you've made about assessments, I've actually never thought about the impact of us not allowing, the impact of coming to a different country and or coming to university, preparing for assignments and that's stopping you being participating in extracurricular activities. So thank you for that really valued point that they are doing some work to make sure assessments are not clustered, as we talked about earlier. The point you've made is a really good one and one that I'll remember as we're thinking about work, but I'll hand over to Phil for the outdoor sports areas.
I think on that case, so we try to protect Wednesday afternoons. So Wednesday afternoons, there shouldn't be, and it's protecting, I know there's a lot of postgraduate students in the room. We've protected Wednesday afternoons for undergraduates from 12 p.m. There shouldn't be teaching, compulsory teaching on a Wednesday afternoon. And that is because the pressure on all students, but I hear what you're saying about particularly international students, we have a 10-week playing season for what in Scotland is called the winter sports. So they're 10 weeks up to Christmas and then maybe 6 or 7 weeks after Christmas as well, where we have very short windows, so up to 20 weeks of play, and it's very, very rigid. So we're in a situation where the student sports clubs that are run and led and managed by students themselves, they've got to be really, really organised. And we've only got, and we train, so the clubs train Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, some of the weekends, but it's all evenings, so it's added pressure, particularly on students now that might have a part-time job as well, to fund activities. So there's an awful lot of pressure on our students, but it has to be an individual decision. We try and take away as many barriers as possible so that we can encourage people to participate because we think it's important. And I think that's what Jordan's saying. We need to understand much, much better what are the barriers, particularly to international students, to participate in. It's postgraduate students as well. There's more barriers probably. So the setup, unfortunately, is a very traditional setup, schools in this country, and that places barriers in the way that we have to try and get over. In terms of outdoor facilities, the university is investigating and has been investigating for many, many years the opportunity to build its own outdoor facilities. So what we have to do, Jordan has to hire facilities all across the city and in sometimes difficult places to reach that aren't on good bus routes. But we have to try and hire facilities for our students, and we would really, really like to be able to get in partnership with another organisation within the city and find somewhere that really is our outdoor sport home, like we've got our indoor sport home, which is on campus. The closest we ever got was across the river. We own the land across the river. Unfortunately, we got to a stage where we had a plan, where it was going to be a really wonderful space for sport, but we did detailed studies on floods, and we can't build sports facilities on the land that we own. So we're looking at that, but it's a really, really difficult problem for us to solve at the moment.
And just to say as well, for those of you who are not interested in sport, I know there are lots of people, because it's one thing I hear is everybody all they talk about is sport. We're really looking as well at other types of activities that people can engage in. So it's just to put that out there before I get all the feedback saying, as all we talk about is sport.
Thank you very much for the responses. So, we have actually a question. Then I ask a question. Let me. Somebody wants to speak. That's fine. You want to talk?
Hi, Lauren. My name is Fumi. I'm the current vice president international. And just a suggestion. I know we do have like event fair for club and society. We had one last year. I don't know if it's possible to have them every Freshers Week, like during September and January. That way we can keep students engaged on the new societies and clubs we have on campus. And also if we could introduce for the sports, I'm just saying this, we could have international sports team. That way students, international students can at least engage with things that with sport activities. And also we do have we have a club called Black Liberation that's Dami was involved in, but it went down the drain because so many students were not active. So at least we do, if possible, if the school can also, when new students are coming in, there should be sort of introduction, like an email telling them the list of societies and clubs we have, so that way before they come in, they can sign up for it. That way it's, you come into school, and there should also be regular events for club and society. That way they don't die, because there are many clubs and society, but not so many events or promotion. So clubs are just dying and no engagement.
Good day, my name is Teddy. I just want to ask a very simple question. Is it workable for the university to some kind of allot a credit point if any student here engages in sports or in some kind of club activity? Is it workable, first of all? If it's a yes, I think it would be encourageable. If I come into school and someone say, the management says or the university says, if you can get into sports, you could get 10 credit units for participating in sports. And it can actually go a long way in covering other subjects you are actually deficient in. I don't think any student would want to be left out. And it's going to help improve mental health, because if people engage in sports, get in club societies, and are able to get 10 credit units, I think it will go a long way. I don't know whether it's working. That's my question. Thank you very much.
My name is Princess Pamela. So my question is in relation to the IT infrastructure and the digitalization of the university. So obviously I'm a computer science student, and we know that the world is only just getting more digital. And I'm sure we're all familiar that the network and the Wi-Fi in school can be very tricky. A lot of new students especially find it difficult to connect to using room. And I just feel like I just want to ask what's really done in terms of IT literacy. I know that another student was talking about a forum that's being, or a support group that in which she just wanted to know like if there's any updates in that or in improving the IT facilities in school, because to be honest, it is really important, especially for society. We might want to do events either in the student unions that would be required to use internet connection to have a seamless event, and even in things like the Freshers Week, it was QR codes that were used to sign up and get a membership, and we know that didn't really go very well because things weren't connecting, we weren't able to get access, and that could have potentially been a loss for society to get new members. So I do think that it's important thing to consider.
Do you want us to answer the questions? I think the first thing, just in the question up at the back, there is potential for credit rating number of things, but we need to think about, back to the point I was trying to make, is that if I'm not interested in sport and you get 10 credits because you're interested and I'm not, we need to think about the equity of that.
Yes.
But we are thinking about RGU plus what we talked about earlier, which is about offering students additionality and awarding credit for that. So yeah, I'll take on board what you've said and we'll do what we can in that space, and that's really good feedback. In terms of the digital agenda, I think you're quite right. I will say that it will be argued back there's nothing wrong with the Wi-Fi in buildings, but we are doing an audit just now that's looking at the Wi-Fi speed, access in certain buildings, and I know there are certain parts of this building that your Wi-Fi is not so good, but to let you know, we are auditing that at the moment, and you're completely correct. It's absolutely imperative that the access to Wi-Fi is equal and good across the whole institution. No excuses there, it should be, and we're trying to find out that it's not so good and doing something to enhance that. And in terms of digital preparation for students, we are working on at the moment finding out what the minimal digital requirements would be for students as they enter the institution, and looking at packages of development that will mean that every student will have access to that to be able to really engage in the level of and their studies when they join with us. So that's on the cards, but you're completely correct. In fairness to the institution though, we've had 2 years where there's not been a lot of people in, so what we were doing in that space is really taking a massive step back. I'm not making excuses again, I'm not, but I would reckon we would have been a lot further forward if more people had been in the building, because as you can imagine, one, there was no staff to fix it, and two, no people to test it. But we are working on it now. But thank you very much, and you're completely correct.
Hi, my name is KK. I'm the student officer for Grace Falls for Business. And first of all, I just really want to say thank you to students, to you guys this summer. I'm trying to make sure that these students are happy as well through the period. And in relation to what my fellow student officer mentioned concerning the prices for food and stuff going on, a lot of students in my school are just speaking about it. So somebody suggested that because of this wonderful space we have here, and it would be nice if the machine is put up and the student union space in this level, if you think of it, instead of just going downstairs to the service. And also, I wanted to also say, another person mentioned the prices, which has been sorted as well, and then the parking stuff as well, as was mentioned. So I'm sure that would be good. And from my own point of view, I've been a student for like a year, and I'm going to graduate, like you said, and I don't have an RGB logo outfit or something, just because the student union is always sold out. I click on medium, I click on large, it's always sold out every time. And I just wanted to mention that people would like to have one to show down, and I'm an alumni in Slough Grace University, so it's just something
So we
You can do some sewing tonight.
I mean, from next week, there should be, as in, it should be available for everyone to order. From next week.
Okay, but also the prices are quite high, so this is something that we
We'll work on that as well.
Yeah, and apart from that, yeah, RMF was mentioned, but I don't know if that's going to cover up having something big enough for international students to look at the video. And everyone is saying, okay, sandwiches. I am trying to sandwiches, salads. Yes, it's healthy, but you can have other healthy things for people.
You can comment on that point. The Denmark contract, we're actually about to sign off on a new contract. They very strongly anyway, and we're engaged in much more with the community regarding potential changes to that service. We actually, we do already just start with the quarterly kicking meeting groups. So you can attend, and that's the direct feedback that we're doing business to Denmark representatives along themselves. So this challenge, there's anything, any suggestions, any ideas, we should keep further back down and they can go that for us. We appreciate that there's really not much happening right now. We're just trying to get things back up and running because the mentioned was on campus for 2 years. Mark themselves have got significant pressure from getting staff, and we probably didn't lose the job and potentially a part-time job. We are struggling to get staff to actually manage the simple basic problems with that. But hopefully things will improve. But go back to what the prices, I've heard that point several times, and I'm aware it's very important to students, so we make sure we take that forward and have a variety of offers within the national catering offer. So there'll be higher cost items, like the cost that a franchise, their prices reflect what you see on Main Street or elsewhere in the city. There are fixed prices which costs are set, and we can influence. Others outlets we can influence. And that's for us to make sure the variety of products, take products one, but prices are affordable as well. So that's ongoing, but we will actually try and best as we can.
I just have to respond to that quickly, if that's all right. One of the things that actually has been mentioned time and again is why do we need staff to operate areas? Why can't there be self-checkouts or why can't there be vending machines perhaps that offer pre-packed signages? And that would come back to the opening hours. If there's a vending machine or a coffee machine, you don't need someone to operate that during the day, you don't need someone there. And when it's 24 library, students can still go and get healthy, actual meals, and they're not resorted to eating continentals or McDonald's or takeout, and it's not cheap.
The vending machines that we discussed with the Mark, we engaged in a new contract. There's allowances in that contract for new capital investment, new capital outlets, and also looking for equipment. I just want to point out the solutions out there which don't require staff, vending. So that's already been part of the conversation, especially on the point we're doing, but certainly being discussed.
If you have any more questions, just take note of them and we'll ask them after the next round of questions. And I'd like to invite Jordan to take the next round of questions.
Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, so just kick straight in. The first question, to kind of guess given that we've had online and open book exams for a while now, we believe that students are anxious about having to go back to normal closed book exam conditions without having any preparation, which may not reflect the true understanding of course content. We've also received feedback that individuals would prefer having assessments spread out through the term rather than all at the end to limit the level of stress and bring towards the end of each semester. What advice can you provide?
So I think the advice will be is that one, to say that we are looking at, I've said it about 4 times now, we are looking at the clustering of assessments, so we are taking that on board. In terms of preparation for assessment, I think we're going to have, we know there's even going to be even more challenge in terms of assessment, not just the fact that people go from open book to closed book. We've got students who have been studying with us for a year and will be entering that actually haven't done any assessments. There's been continuous assessment throughout school. So there are a lot of things that we're going to need to put in place to provide that additional support. From semester 1, we're going to have in the middle of semester what we're calling a pause and reflect week. And that will be where the staff will engage with the students to say, where are you in your studies? How are you getting on, getting ready for your assessments? What can we do to support you? And what additional support do you need in place in order to get ready? So we're doing a number of things to take that on board. So hopefully it will help out. But as always, please just use your course leaders, your personal tutors, etc. to get the support that you need in order to try and do that.
I feel that from direction of Phil and David, there have been countless requests for a social bar. Seeing success of the space that we're at the moment, what is the university's stance on the union bar?
The university hasn't really got a set stance on the union bar, because if it was a union bar, it'd be up to the unions to do that. I have got personal views on it, and the question is, there's been countless requests. I would really encourage the student union to really find out what is the strength feeling around that, and also what do people mean by a bar, because there's all sorts of different types of bars. Some that students wouldn't go anywhere near. There's some staff have talked about wanting a bar here, but I imagine their bar wouldn't be something that the majority of students would want to be in. So there's different. So I really think that the university could respond, and once the union really understands what its students want from it. The history of the bar, so in School Hill, I would quite often, and a lot of staff would use that facility as well. But it did lose money every single year. So someone's got to make the decision, and the student union might have to make the decision, if it's so important to students, is that a service that they want to do. So the university would look at anything and assist in any way, but when the union moved down from the centre of town to here, the decision was made jointly between the university and the student union. Because it was the student union bar, it was losing money, it would have lost even more money because it wasn't a centre of town bar. The decision was taken to not open that bar. So all I would say is I think the university would respond to any really well constructed argument around the bar if the real key for the university, would it make the campus more vibrant? Would it attract more students to stay longer? And that's the debate that I think really needs to be improved. That's my personal
Vibrant campus is both important and that the university being creating this space will also see busyness. So this is the first step. And we'll work on good gardening in the future to see what the project will be, and maybe that we develop an agreement which is signed with the stands that we're going to be like the form part of the teaching and something. So I think universities indicate clear time here, so we make the meaning here, but create the space, and that yourself and have to take that in the case for it, partly as well.
Yes, that's a chance for students and email and configure services and my service staff for give us an email if you have any thoughts or ideas. Let's move on. Next question for Lindy, I believe. Some schools have special course requirements that afford students little time for social activities or otherwise. Is there an opportunity to explore the establishment of dedicated student spaces within the schools for students to collaborate and have constructive, relaxing discussions and great themselves?
So I've actually done some work on it already. There's two spaces being created in one course on the west of campus. So really, the building in 3 and moving garden and the SA32, which have been effectively taken as a timetable. Some soft furnishings in there, so it's plastic chairs. And you can't laugh sometimes you probably are doing yourself now. So we are doing some work in that field. And I guess what it comes down to is if we can see evidence of those spaces being used, then great, and that will encourage people to have a wider rollout of those different spaces across campus. We work together relatively short term, so the furniture we had in stock, but we're seeing the space being well used, and we're looking at using that furniture and we make it more appropriate for different spaces, and then looking for other things we can require in that room, so there's TVs, spaces of meetings, wherever it is. So that's something that can be discussed and developed. But we are committed to doing that, and again, it's down to yourself that are using those spaces and the way for other people.
And as I said earlier on, we are looking to create spaces within every area that has some social spots. And also, I'm desperately trying to work hard to make sure that every room that's not being used, you can use as a student. The university is your building and it's for you, so there isn't any reason why rooms that are not being taught in can't be used for you to sit in. So we are working on trying to make the university, all the buildings, to be much more open to allow people to go in and out. But it's something that we're working on.
We kind of touched this already, but they would some more parking chat, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Parking has been an issue for students for years. How can we explore the possibility of building additional parking using the layer model on existing parking success? Existing parking spaces are to create more spaces for students. Is there a possibility of engaging students from Scots and schools?
Some of the possible engaging students look at that, but there are restrictions that are out of control. It's basically up to the city council which dictates how much planning or through the planning department how many parking spaces we have on campus. When the university started to develop a master plan, I think called a section 75 created, which effectively dictates how much parking spaces you can have on campus and how they should be used. So it's not as easy as seeing green space and thinking we'll create more parking. We have looked at providing multi-story car parks on site. We looked at developing one-to-one car park for the building. But even though we actually looked at them, we actually initial feedback from the city council because the planning agreements we have in place, effectively said you cannot do that because of what's already been committed to giving permission. So I wish some respect we could provide additional parking, but at the same time, we're also trying to encourage other sustainable forms of transport to campus. So a lot of people are arguing creating more ability to park on campus, which is seen as a step in the wrong direction. So a few things to think about there, but it's something that's straightforward building more, and I think more that's sustainable to be done, the university will push back on that and move forward with it. Against my opinion.
No, I mean, I think, yeah, I'm doing think they would allow me to tell me what I would think about car parking, because I think probably they should just remove it. I mean, everything regarding car parking would all go away. We wouldn't get complaints about looking onto a car park, we'd get complaints about parking, and we would all be more sustainable. But anyway, that's not going to go down very well, so we'll keep with the parking issues we've got.
One final question for you, Lynn, from the submitted questions. There is an ongoing issue with postgraduate students having difficulty securing placements within and outward academy, and are given difficult deadlines to secure placements, and possible despite engaging in the Has the university provide support to students to find a placement and the university subsidise the £5,000 cash to be placed in students' rights? The student believes that the amount is too high considering the economic situation.
Okay, so the reason I've been looking at my phone on and off is because this question here is quite complex, and I wasn't really I didn't understand it, so to be able to answer. But what I do know now is this only specifically relates to one course within the university, so I think this has specifically come from one student. And what I wondered, if it's okay with you, is if I could address that issue with that one student rather than respond today and take up everybody's time, because it is only going to be one student, one course in the university that's quite bespoke and unique. But I'm not trying to avoid the question, but I've got 2 pages of response here, and I have to go over that and it take up too much time. So if we could find out where the question came from, I can then respond to them individually. Would that be all right? Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
And if you're in the room, come to me, but I'm not sure where it was. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a question from someone online. Please, can there be a rethink on how the green areas on campus are managed? Rather than mowing everything to the limit, we could be creating so much more. Example, wildflower meadows, which could reduce the amount of fuel used by mowers, increase biodiversity on site, and provide areas that could really help with people's mental health as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of that will be considered part of vibrant campuses, parking network, in terms of accessibility. Yeah, in terms of the green space, obviously, people have a preference for nicely mown lawns or natural meadows there. We do have areas of natural meadows on campus. I think it's not expanding that. We did look at doing additional lawns pre-COVID, but obviously COVID came in and paused everything. Other initiatives in that area that we also looked at be the hives on campus. Is a council approached us offering us hives on campus, and there was support at that time. Much to my surprise, I thought we checked our health safety team never fit, but they were quite keen on the idea. So we are looking at issues like that. Again, if anyone's got a suggestion for a particular piece of land, come forward to your idea and start to get
Yeah, sorry, I feel like I'm stuck, but anyway, my point is very, very important, especially to all international students. That's my focus. Because when I'm talking about the transportation, because this could be that the union could assist based on the reduction in price for only ROG students to transport so that it can be easy to go to school. If the long-term plan I told you, if it will take very long years to get, then it's trying to reduce the price. Because before I say anything, I have verified from few students that the transportation is very expensive. And also, many don't know how to use the app. So that's very, very
We also do have regular meetings with the first bus with teaching unit 10. And also, I would say referring to them, we also do every meeting the cost of the actual price of the tickets. And also, in Scotland now under 22
It's not really about the number of buses, the price.
But
The
yeah,
price is very high.
yes. But that's obviously it's part of us, business MD, we're not part of RGU, that's providing that service to government and local city and council, etc. We do raise these concerns with them, and I think we should do that. In the past, we've had things like season tickets, etc., which have been offered to students at a reduced rate. We can start a conversation with them there on that point to see if that's something that's better for our students. So, yes, that's something.
Thank you very much, and thanks for that answer. And with that, we've come to any other competent business for this forum.
I actually sort of go back down into your opening statements on the emphasizing the clarification. Coming from the Scotland School, it's not the library that we're looking for to be 24 hours, it's our own school. We cannot use the library. The library is not a suitable space for us to work. It doesn't have computers that can run the software we need to do the work. It doesn't have spaces where we can make models. I'm sure the states would have a field day if we came into the library to clean and there's glue everywhere and cardboard on the floor. It would be really appropriate for that learning environment and this is other students using that space. In 2018, we did pass an AGM that we would get 24-hour studio moving forward, and it was successful and was used during the assessment period. Now, that was obviously before COVID. Coming out of COVID and due to the new articulation of the actual courses and the new models of run, we now don't necessarily have assessments for the practical subjects which we require 24-hour studio spaces in line with the assessments of the other university. Some of these have been brought forward, and we actually have one of our assessments today for that, so they wouldn't actually get any use from the 24-hour. So we were actually asking if that can be brought forward by just 1 week to the 4th of April, so that it would actually capture 2 of the hand-ins instead of missing 3. Because out of 10 courses, if 3 were not going to be able to use it, we would see a massive decrease in activity in that space, and the students don't want to listen. Thank you.
Again, give you details that conversation regarding that. Historically, before COVID hit, we knew that the fees of 24 hours was actually longer than 4 weeks, actually extended the cost of the people part of that. So that's coming back to that.
I think I finished what was saying about him, so that everyone is talking about his school and still people for CCD, and I was wondering if there's anything that not just for CCD but for all the students in our team, and just to have a inter-school competition, like, talent shows and stuff. I mentioned this before, but I don't know if it's something that can bring all the students together, or just something that would excite them.
I think that not for us three old codgers up here codgers up here. That's really the role of the student union and the students themselves. If you want to do that, get on to it, and we'll help facilitate that. So, yeah, all those sorts of things. Student union, get on with it.
Okay, and someone wanted to find out if it's possible for the university to help with landlord and guarantors just because of student. And I mentioned before the previous student voice, I stayed in the RG accommodation proposal. It was a bit high, and with the price in which you guys said you're going to sort out in the short run. But those that are living off campus, how do I sort that out?
We're getting a group together. There's been initial discussions since we've had a really big cohort of international students arrive in January, and this has come up again for the first time post-pandemic, since the pandemic.
Yes.
So we're getting a group
It's
together
lying
to
with
talk
me at the
about.
moment because, as you can imagine, to do that, there's a lot of governance, financial, etc., so we need to get executive approval to move forward. It's sitting with me, but sadly, there's a number of the executives have been hit with COVID, and so there wasn't an executive meeting last week and I was supposed to discuss it. So it's on the agenda. We know it's an issue. I'm not promising anything because it's really complex, but we will investigate it and feedback.
Also, just because we mentioned something about bringing students together, not just sports, but I was thinking we can have like events that promote diversity, and equality and inclusion, just every now and then.
And that's the union as well. And if you have any other ideas that you think will help to improve the student experience, please go to myself and
With the universities drawing up in partnership with the student union a whole calendar, so that we've got whole yearly events around all sorts of equality, diversity, and inclusion days to link with big events that are happening across the world. There may be specific ones that we just do locally.
So I just want to take this opportunity on behalf of as the university to say thank you very much to Dami, Leila and Jordan for hosting the Student Voice events and all that they've done in this space, but also to say thank you to all of you for coming along and giving us all the questions. But just because it's the last one of the year, and Dami, Leila and Jordan, thank you very, very much, because it takes a lot to coordinate these and bring them together. So just to say thank you.
So while we wrap this up, just a few announcements. Student elections are currently ongoing, and nominations for all the president and VP roles that we have at the union are closed today. And please be on the lookout for candidates, manifestos, and campaigns. And voting opens on the 31st of March till the 1st of April. And this is the opportunity that you have to select who your next representative. 30th of March, okay, thank you, until the 1st of April, and it's your opportunity to select who your next representative will be at the union. So please use your voice, and choose your next representative. And the Blues Ball, like Jordan mentioned, is coming up this Saturday, and I hope that we all got our tickets for that, as well as the Student Achievement Awards coming up next Saturday, 2nd of April. And just now we have nominations for Star Awards, and that is the union will be appreciating support and academic staff at the university and the union who have contributed to the student experience. So please go on the union website, www.rgunion.co.uk, and nominate your favorite staff for the Star Award. And do you want to say the final?
It's a bit controversial, but I actually just wanted to ask if the panel thinks that this student voice is the best format to actually participate in student engagement.
And that's over to the group that's here, to ask that question, but I think it's a really good question